Okay, I think we are live, Robert.
Oh, kind of cool.
Welcome to the webinar.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we'll give people like a moment to join here. I'm sure there are some buttons that they have to press, but this should be pretty fun. We're going to talk about product intelligence, PI, which we never call it internally, but probably should. Cool.
And we
Okay, so
definitely did a lot of brainstorming on the name.
yeah, what were the other options just as people roll in? What else do you consider calling it?
I mean, like the boring stuff like AI feature requests or something like that. I think it made more sense to do product intelligence though, so it fits the pattern of
Yeah.
the other products that we have. So
Yeah, we had too many like Copilot, Assistant, Ask AI, like account intelligence, agents. It was just too much. It's definitely too much. Yeah.
as people are joining, do you guys want to say hi in the chat?
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Cassie.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Hey.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, everyone. This way we know, because I actually can't even see how many people are in here.
Yeah,
So,
I have no clue.
uh, there we go. Cool.
Seems like we have a
I'll
lot of
try.
shy people
Hey,
here.
Elena. Yeah.
Well, but thanks for shouting out from the crowd.
Cool. Okay, so we can probably start off. I think we have around 20 people in right now. And so, yeah, we can get started so people aren't just waiting here. But really excited to talk today about our launch that we announced yesterday of Product Intelligence. Product Intelligence is a really big release for us, and it solves a problem that we had for a long time ourselves. And given we are in our ICP of B2B companies and who do a lot of customer support and success with their customers, we know this is going to be super helpful for our customers moving forward. So the reason Robert and I are going to be speaking about this today is to talk through how we've been using it and kind of what we had tried beforehand, which we know almost every single company like us has been facing the same exact issues. So yeah, I guess to get started here, let me see. I'm going to share one piece. Actually, let's do introductions before we get into it. So maybe to make sure everyone knows, at least on the stage here. First off, my name is Marty. I'm one of the founders of Pylon. I focus these days a lot on go-to-market, so sales and marketing, while Robert and Advith do all the fun stuff in building the product. Robert, you want to talk about what you do?
Yep. So I'm one of the co-founders at Pylon as well. And yeah, I do a lot of the product work here and am my own customer and ICP for this product line. So this product holds a very special place in my heart, and I'm very excited that we're releasing it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to share some slides here. So this is going to be just a quick way to introduce where things are. So really, this product intelligence is intended for support teams and then also product teams as well to get an understanding of what feedback customers are submitting through all sorts of channels, including tickets and call recordings and other places as well. We just did introductions. And then for anyone who doesn't have context on us as a company, I think most people do at this point, but we are a full support platform. We do replace products like Zendesk, Intercom, Salesforce Service Cloud. So all those ticketing systems, we replace them completely with a particular emphasis on the B2B segment. One cool thing I'll point out is that none of those other incumbents have anything like product intelligence, which is part of what's really exciting here. So we are the first company to ever build something like this and integrate it directly into our product. Usually you'd have to go buy a completely separate tool, and frankly, those other tools have never really fixed the core problem. So maybe starting with the frustration. So Robert, if you want to jump in here for a moment. So what was like the core thing? Like, what do people complain about, and like, what is the core problem?
Yeah, so taking a 10,000 foot view, like you'll notice that a lot of teams want to somehow give their product team a list of, hey, what do we need to be working on? What's most important for our enterprise customers? What's most important for like whatever the strategic push is at the company? The crazy thing is most post sales teams, they actually already know what the features are that they need to be building to do that push. It's just that the product team doesn't believe them at all, right? Like they'll a lot of our customers will every week or every month will gather up those like 6 must do requests, hand it to the product team, and the product team will immediately be like, well, where's the evidence? I don't believe you. And there's always this friction that forms in between the post sales team and the product teams. And so um, what we're doing here with product intelligence is going off of that assumption that like, hey, like the post sales teams actually know what it is, and it's about like gathering up that evidence to convince the product team like, hey, this is why we need to be doing these 6 sets of features. um, the crazy thing is like every support team and success team will have like the same exact feature requests like flow. It's going to be a Slack channel. For us, it's called product feedback, where people will just like yell into the void and just like keep dumping more and more feature requests there. And there isn't really anybody on the other end actually like processing them. Um, and then
And
like,
so,
yeah.
and Robert, just to clarify, like, if we talk about, support and CS teams in general, like, why is it that product and eng aren't listening? Like, and also, like, what is the typical flow that you hear from people?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like they generally don't listen because like they have their own important things to be thinking about, and generally they're a little bit more disconnected from the customer. So like they're
And I also question for you, like, I assume product wants to know this though, right? Like, so why is it that they
yeah,
aren't, yeah, you say their own priorities, but presumably, like, they want to know this information to inform their roadmap.
yeah, they do, which is why they do ask for all the evidence from the post sales team. Um, but they generally will discount things directly from somebody on their team. They want to get at the raw feedback and raw data from the end customer. And so like that's why usually a lot of the post sales teams will have to spend an extra like I don't know like a whole day every week just gathering up all the evidence that the product team is asking for.
Understood. Okay, so let's go into okay, the problem is pretty clear. Basically, their support and customer success teams, and frankly, any like customer facing teams get a bunch of feedback from customers, and they try to relay that information to their product and eng team so they can solve it. And then there's basically, it takes a lot of effort to actually, get first off, collect the information and then make the case versus just what typically happens, which is just anecdotal, right? Support leaders or support teams might say, "Hey, like hey, we hear this a lot. Can you help fix it?" But that's not a very strong argument, right? And so, the pushback from product and eng to a usually like overworked support or CS team is going to be like, oh, like I hear you, but like I have other priorities. But now potentially support and CS team, what if there was a way that we auto collect all this product feedback for you and then just help you deliver it to the product team. Is that right?
Right, exactly. And it turns into a relationship instead of like being very like full of friction. It's more of a collaborative relationship where it's like, okay, post sales team is trying to help enable the product team now, instead of the product team just like always tossing it back onto the success and support team. Like, hey, go find the evidence. It's more like you can turn it more into a proactive flow of like, hey, product team, here's
So
all the things that I know you're going to be asking for.
yeah, and there are different stages of companies where like this problem is like more pronounced versus not. And from my understanding, right, it's hey, actually, yeah, both small and big teams have this issue, right? There actually isn't
Yeah,
really,
we
maybe at the smallest case, like hey, product and support might be the same person if you're like a 3-person startup. But even then, there's actually still a disconnect because you yourself need to make the case for yourself on
yes.
like, hey, is this a big enough problem, right?
Yeah, we saw this across the board. Like as soon as you start bifurcating that one role, like it, and that happens very early in most companies, like you will have this problem. And it's crazy how this problem scales all the way up to like when you're, I don't know, like thousands of people. Like you still have the same problem. How do you get the raw feedback all the way to the right person who needs to actually think about and build the product and solution?
Understood. Cool. Okay, so let's go into what we ended up trying to do to fix the problem, right? So we ourselves, maybe to give some quick background for everyone listening, we have a support and CS team. Actually, we have now. Let's see how many customer-facing teams. We have a customer support team, we have a customer success team, a solutions engineering team, and then we have a sales team. So we have four teams that are customer-facing, and all of them have feature requests that come in, whether it's in like the POC process or whether it's during a migration or even post sales or during enablement. So at any point, that feedback could come in. And Robert, you were trying to triage this stuff. Talk to me about like what we ended up trying and what happened.
Yeah, so very simply, we just started with aggregating all of the feature requests into Notion, into these project pages. And very quickly, we realized that was very manual and hard for anybody else to use other than me, right? Because like nobody else knows what all the project pages are. And also, I started running out of time very quickly because we have such a large customer base and thankfully are growing really fast. But it does mean it's near impossible to keep up with like all the manual matching of evidence to feature requests.
And can you be clear? So like you were starting to I interrupted earlier. You described like, hey, all these teams were posting into our feature request channel, right? Or the product feedback channel. And so they were literally just like posting messages into channel. And then you're like the word you used was triaging. Like you would take that and then try to like,
Match
you know,
it.
rate it or like what would happen.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the same as everybody else too, but yeah, so it would be dumped into that channel. And then in the triage step, I'm trying to figure out like, is this a real problem? Is this just a solution, but like the problem is actually different? Figuring out whether we should keep this piece of evidence or not, and then putting that evidence into one of the projects. And then at some point, after I've gathered up enough of that evidence, only then am I like synthesizing that into like a full project to hand to the engineering team.
And so can you talk about how much time that would take you and like, what part of your week or day or month was that?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of time. So, I mean, each individual request maybe takes like 30 seconds to process. But like if we're getting hundreds of these requests a day or a week, like and the customer base is scaling in a hyper growth way, like it becomes impossible. So like I would set aside time it started out every Friday, and then it moved to every day. And then it became unmanageable. And I was like, I need to find a better tool here.
Understood. And so you also tried some different products in the market. Can you talk about like what they tried to do and why they didn't end up working?
Yeah, so I did try some alternatives out there. I think what I was really looking for, because I know that AI can solve this, is all very much a AI use case where it's unstructured textual data that an LLM can easily parse. And so I went out there and looked for a solution and used a few, but I think I realized that a lot of people hadn't fully embraced what I think AI should be able to do. So,
Mm,
for example, it was only suggestions on like matching instead of like the full suite of like fully like processing the feedback and like turning it into feature requests. Um, it ended up like saving me some amount of time, but honestly, we did scale out of that pretty quickly as well, probably within 3 to 6 months of using the
And
tools.
yeah, and the other thing to point out is like the other workflow that is a lot of time for the support team itself is the linking to linear tickets. So both Pylon and their other ticketing systems have similar functionality of like, hey, you can. So we use linear as our like product, our issue tracker for engineering, and you could go in, or if you're in a support ticket, our support team could see that and try to, if it's a feature request, link it to an existing linear ticket. But that is basically there are lots of mistakes that can happen in that process. And so it often doesn't happen, or it could get linked to a different linear ticket, or we might create a new one accidentally. And so there are basically so many things that could go wrong there, where at the end of the day, you just end up having it doesn't, the problem is not solved. Even if you have like a great support team, a great CS team who knows the process, it still might just not happen.
Yeah,
So
I would
yeah,
say
okay,
like
so
every platform I use too, like to build off that point, like never really actually connects into the sources very well where all these feature requests are coming from. Like people will like before even like that Slack channel that people are posting to, right? All of that feedback comes from somewhere. It's going to either be in a call that happened during like in a QBR call, or it's going to be in a support ticket or a success conversation in Slack or over email and like a form that people are submitting. So there's like all these different sources. And it's always extremely disjoint of where they actually like submit that issue, how that actually gets to these systems, and then how you actually like, tell them on that same issue that they submitted the feature request on after something's done.
and then also one other thing I'm curious about is, we get feedback from a lot of sources. And so it could be in customer Slack channels, it could be support tickets that people open with us through our chat. It could be, let's see, call recordings. So we have a call recorder that all of our CSMs, solutions people, sales team uses. And so feedback could be coming from there, like manually created. Can you talk about like those, what any other sources that I'm missing out or that we should have here?
I mean, there's like the handful of like off ones, like where it was a physical meeting and so like somebody's taking notes, or uh, like people often have a feature request form. Like we have this in our chat widget where you can submit a feature request via form, and that ends up in Pylon as a ticket. So people have all sorts of flows like that out and about. But yeah, it generally falls into those buckets that you mentioned around async and synchronous. So,
Okay, so basically lots of problems. I think the other tools just did not plug into them as well, which was another problem. And so we're like, hey, we have all these sources. There are so many potential mistakes that people could make in a manual process. And then the solution we actually ended up building. So Robert, if you want to talk like high level, what did we build and what was the solution here?
yeah, so I mean, like the good thing is like we're building for ourselves and our customers always, as always. Um, so we started with the idea that like, hey, AI is probably good enough to do this entire flow for you instead of like you still having to do any manual flows. We really wanted this to be like almost a fully automated kind of process. And so one, we're very AI native with taking all this evidence and collapsing them into feature requests. The second thing is like we are already plugged into a lot of the synchronous and async communication, like we just mentioned. So because we're the support system, right, we already have all that data, and have built out a bunch of the different call recording integrations to answer, I think, one of the questions that was in the chat. And so like we wanted to leverage that to get out all of the evidence right off the bat. And so like the with these two things, we were able to build product intelligence so that you can see like in this screenshot, right? Like all of that gets aggregated into these rows of feature requests. This happens automatically for you. So you don't even have to like manually like write out the feature requests. It like will look through all of your comms and just like figure it out. Um, the other cool thing is like because we have all of the data on who's an enterprise customer from your CRM, from our CRM integration, or like I don't know when is their renewal. Like you can always like filter and sort all of the feature requests by whatever strategic aim you have. So if you want to push for enterprise customers or go after enterprise, you can filter that down and just see those feature requests for enterprise customers. It's very flexible and built for B2B companies in mind, for us in mind, for you guys in mind. So
Awesome. So yeah, and to reiterate then, like or to actually explain what we're looking at here on the screenshot. So we'll actually go into a real demo of the product, but high level, hey, you should be able to go into a page, see what are all the active feature requests that have that are being captured across call recordings, across tickets, across any conversations that we plug into, and yeah, we'll surface them in grouping. So almost like AI clustering for these feature requests that come in. And then there's a whole workflow where you can click in and see evidence, and we'll go into that. So yeah, and you explain like the full loop here, Robert, if you want to walk through. So yeah, like how does this work?
Yep. So, like I mentioned, we have all these different sources. Step one is purely just what everybody is used to. Customer submits a feature request wherever they're living, right? You don't want to force them to like go to a specific form, right? You really want to let the customer live where they want to live, and work out of
So
wherever they
step
want.
one is any source, any channel, any call recording, any support ticket that's in Pylon, any well, I know we're doing personal email soon, which is kind of a foreshadowing. Personal emails, will that sync as well?
Yes, that will sync. Yeah.
And anything related to like let's see, internal Slack channels, are we going to do that?
Yes, we will. Although that is probably like a V3 kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, no matter what and by the way, the great thing for everyone is we're already plugged into these channels. So this is one of those things where we just turn it on and it'll start collecting. And then yeah, step two, Robert.
Yep. So we're identifying what looks like a feature request first, and then clustering all of the different mentions of that feature request from all the customer conversations. Um, this happens such that like you don't even have to like write out any of the feature requests. Like when you jump in, it'll just show you a list of like the 100 feature requests that have been getting collected over however long you've plugged in your data with us. Um, Step three is you can now like take a look at each feature request, review all of the different metrics, and like filter down to say like what I was mentioning, like filter down to just your enterprise customers. Probably in the next week, we'll be releasing ARR, so you can connect up the ARR from your CRM and then like sort all of the feature requests by value that you can be producing for the company. And so then you can like easily prioritize what feature requests are important. Um, and then finally, this is like the most important part is like, okay, now take that feature request and toss it over to the product team. So we're going to be taking all that evidence, AI generating a summary and linear ticket or Jira ticket, depending on what system you have, and you can toss that over to the engineering team and product team to take a look at. And so now say you already knew that maybe like those 6 feature requests were top of mind for all your customers. Now you have a quantifiable and an evidence-based way to toss that to the product team. So now you don't have to go do that back and forth with them where they're like, okay, but like but like who is asking for that? And you don't have to go and dig it up. It's just all there in a nice, neat package for them. Cool. Step 5. This is like the normal stuff. So off on the product design and engineering plate, they build the feature. And this is the cool part is like there's this out and back kind of loop here where you're collecting all the evidence, but now you have to close the loop with the customer. And so what we're doing here is when you close that linear ticket, it leverages the existing linear automation that we have tied to all of the issues, and it'll actually bump all of those places that they originally asked the feature request in and say like, hey, this linear issue has been done. Maybe it's time to tell the customer that you've released this feature. And so you can sort of see how there's this full loop forming, which previously was very broken, very hard to like coordinate with product, and like you got to keep pinging people. Now it's all just automated away, and so that handoff between you, the customer,
Yep.
the product team is all solved.
Awesome. Okay, so Robert, what I'm going to ask you to do now is actually show us what does this look like. So if you want to share your screen, seeing will be better than talking about it, and we can walk into what product intelligence looks like in especially our one of our public demo instances.
Yep. Cool. So if you can see my screen, yep, what you're looking at here is the product intelligence product. So right off the bat, you'll see all of these feature requests all aggregated together without me having to do any of the work to actually like write out any of the feature requests or anything. You'll notice that like we've taken a look at all of the accounts, and this is all data that you can pull in from your CRM, or we're just pulling off of the domain, similar to how it just works on the support system side and account intelligence side. Um, right now, you can organize it and sift it by like number of mentions or like when was this last mentioned, last modified. As I mentioned, we will be adding an ARR column in here momentarily, so you can get at like an even better picture of like value you can produce. Um, jumping right into maybe this feature request here, what we see is you can see a AI summary of like what this is actually, what customers are actually asking of you. And we're also going to be building this out so that it fleshes it out into more of a AI summary of the feature requests, the potential solutions, and the pain point that they're describing. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty pretty obvious on like the value that you get here. Like all of this evidence is now collected in this one spot. You'll notice that the evidence is across all these different sources. So like email, Slack, chat widget. We don't have one for call recording in this one, but it also aggregates the call recorders. Um, you can even add evidence manually if you think that there's extra data here that we're missing. Um, this is pretty cool too, in that to walk through this flow even further into like step 4 now from that flow chart, I can link it up with a linear issue here. And so now this is me tossing it out to the engineering team. Um, once they actually do it, I can also show this flow here around like this is marked as done. And then if I go into say like this issue here, let me go here, you'll notice that the linear issue says, hey, this has been linked this linked issue has been completed in linear. Consider letting your customer know. So you can kind of close the loop there. The other way you can kind of tell customers that this is done is you can draft up a broadcast. And so this will take all of the information with AI and then like draft up an announcement to those customers who had asked for it in the first place, and you can blast it out to them. So pretty cool on how you can like close the loop there.
Yep. And so, okay, so to be clear, what we looked at, if we go back to the main page, all of this stuff is automatically grouped together. So all the common feature requests, we'll pull it from your Slack channels, your chat widget, your emails, your call recordings. We'll sync them all in, and then you can link it or create new linear tickets. If you want to show that flow, by the way, really quick, if you click in and then like the plus linear button, so like you can either create new linear issues or Jira tickets, and then or link them to existing ones. And so that is all going to be just done for you. You can see we even like pre-write something just to make this as quick as possible for you. And then the other thing, Robert, I think is really cool to mention is like when more requests come in about this feature requests, do they get auto synced in or what happens?
Yep. So we're constantly looking at new evidence that comes in and adding them onto the existing feature requests. And that's what's really cool about this. This is a living and dynamic board of feature requests that doesn't go stale, right? So, yep.
Yeah. So it might be, hey, like we've already linked this to a linear ticket. And then, hey, 5 new prospects or 5 people in POCs or 5 people who are already closed request the same thing. And yeah, we will auto link that to the same feature request. And then, Robert, I'm curious to get your perspective, like from a support team or success team. How are you like, what do you recommend in terms of like their cadence of doing this? Because there is this step of like going into feature requests and like looking at what the top requests are. Like, how do you see this playing into their active process? And should it be the CSM? Should it be support team? Should it be a leader, IC?
So I see this in a two-step thing. So um, I think right now this is quite good at just plugging into a lot of people's flows today, where people are doing maybe like a bi-weekly or a monthly cadence to gather up the feature requests and hand it over to the product team instead of like doing a huge sync meeting with the rest of the success team or support team and like gathering up all the evidence for like a day. You can now just go here and reduce all that time and just hand it to the product team. And so you save like instead of like 8 hours a day, now it's down to like 5 minutes of work. That's maybe the first phase. And You can just plug into your existing flows with that. I think the cool thing is that because this is such a quick activity to do, I think it does actually converge down to doing this like maybe daily, weekly, like at some like shorter cadence, to almost like converging to, hey, like you don't even need to give the product team a report or anything. Maybe the product team can just come in here directly and just like see all of the feature requests aggregated themselves. And so like I do think that it is probably going to converge towards that in the long term.
Yep.
But just to begin,
And
probably
and
just
I actually, I'm seeing there are some questions coming in, so and one's really timely. One, so Bree asked, are we working on anything to help like group the feature request by product category? So is there anything around that? Would that be maybe like an issue field, AI issue field that we could start grouping on, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, so there's like a couple ways we're thinking about this. One, like each of the individual issues already has like custom fields and product area that you can like tag them with, and so you can kind of get it that way. The other way we're thinking of it is we do want to add more custom fields here.
And sorry, Robert, to be clear, like on the top level of like all the feature requests, not on the individual issues
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. So that's what I was mentioning is like the other thing that we're going to be building out are custom fields here on the feature request. So that, or I guess I can say point it out here, like custom fields here. So you can add your own product area and have that be an AI field to tag it. We're also considering adding an impact field. That one's a little bit more like of a subjective thing, but you can kind of get at like, hey, maybe the customer, maybe this one is like a very requested thing, but like it's not actually that important to people. So you can kind of get at some impact there.
So another question, if so, yeah, makes sense. And then another question is like on hey prioritization of things, and maybe even like is there a flow where we would automatically update product teams? So for example, like hey, if something starts getting mentioned more, or like it passes a certain threshold of mentions, or maybe like impact or even ARR, like is there some way that we're thinking about like more proactively pushing that information to someone or notifying someone?
Ah, I see. Yeah. So I do think that notifications will probably come eventually. I think like the core of it, what we have now is just about surfacing that data. And I think that's like a big part of the value. But yeah, totally understand where that's coming from. Like you can and should be able to just like sort by like last mentioned and mentions and then like filter that down so that like if you want to, you can just get at the feature requests that are most urgent, most recent for you today.
Makes sense. Steve from Metronome, actually. Hey, Steve. He mentioned that there's the option for adding additional evidence to a feature request, and basically a concern around, hey, can anyone do that? Is that like a gated, right feature? Yeah, how do you think about that? Just to not like cloud up, and Steve, I'm curious, by the way, if you want to ask a follow-up question. Yeah, are you? It sounds like you are afraid that some people might start doing that, or that might be too easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So Robert, yeah, thoughts there. I think like it obviously it depends on team size, and there has to be some trust component. Maybe I'll just answer this. Yeah, basically, I mean, yes, at scale, but I think at the moment, no. We are not building controls yet at that granular level.
it's pretty easy to add in RBAC controls for feature requests in general. So yeah, it's definitely doable and very easy for us to add. It just isn't. Yeah, I guess it's not like the most requested thing. I think the value here is just like seeing the requests themselves. So
Yeah. A
I think
question from. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, one other thing that like kind of is kind of related to that. What's really cool is you can also add your own feature requests too if you want something very unique that AI wasn't able to pick up. And I can type something in here and it'll actually go and look across all of the issues and calls and actually gather up all of that evidence for me on that feature request. So like it is super powerful too, and like actually munging these feature requests at a higher level. So anyway, yeah. Is there another
Yep.
question?
Yeah. So another question was, This is a fun one, but definitely more visionary. From Sid Gupta, who we know from Default. Will you integrate with tools like Cursor to take on a feature request? And kind of where does that go next?
Yeah. So I have been chatting with some of my friends at Cursor about doing something, but yeah, we're still, there's nothing in the works just yet. But I do think that there's probably a lot of cool things that we can do there to hook into Cursor, and some of the design tools too. I think that we don't want to forget that like a lot of these feature requests do need to like have some visual component there. And so I do think that it's either some combo of like connecting with Cursor or the design like generation tools. Um, but yeah, you could even imagine that like this whole thing is just totally automated. That would be very cool. So
Yeah, I'd say also like I do think ideally support teams. We've even talked about this internally of like, hey, what if they could for small things? Let's say it's like knit copy changes or whatever, like be able to add Cursor even in Slack without an integration with Pylon. And I think the conclusion is that like you probably still want engineering involved in some way
yeah, I think
for most things.
the farthest we've gone here is our designers are doing a lot of that Cursor PR work, and they don't know how to code that well. No shade on our designers, uh, but like they are putting up PRs with Cursor and fixing a lot of those little nits that come up. And I think I could see that kind of expanding more down the stack towards the support team eventually.
Yeah,
But
but basically not yet. Yeah, I think I feel like in a year and a half, maybe there's enough trust that gets built into those, and because it's really more on like the Cursor equivalence of do we trust them to do the job well, where maybe you even skip making the linear ticket, right? Maybe like the same thing that linear released recently, where hey, you tag the agent and it just does the work and in comments, like maybe we build that in, but it still does feel like the trust is not fully there for a lot of the requests that come in. So another question is, let's see. So from Katarina, product teams want data, support team does not have capacity to provide it. So it's really great for them to prove. Okay, I don't know if this was actually a question, so maybe it was just a comment. So maybe not that one. There was a question, I think we addressed this already. Is there a way to combine other feedback sources? Yeah, we talked about call transcripts, the personal emails. We're actually building that out. And Robert, I guess, do you want to give them a preview when personal emails will be shipped? By the way, I'll just share it because it'll be fun. We're QAing this already internally. So it is in QA mode right now within Pylon ourselves. But yeah, any preview on launch date?
Yeah, I mean, definitely very soon. Definitely this month. We're also probably going to be working on. I'm not sure if this will finish by this year, but we're also just about to spin up a project to do personal email responding from Pylon itself as well. So that's going to be very exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I think we have covered all of the questions. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has. Let me see in the chat. Oh, Steve had mentioned he had responded. Has specific aggregated requests is. Yep.
Yeah, so Steve, to answer your question there, this is actually another fast follow feature on top of what you saw today, like in the next week or two. We're also going to be enabling you the ability to merge and split feature requests. And so like oftentimes, especially with like a integration heavy company, there will be like these top level feature requests like I want a Salesforce integration. But then once you build the Salesforce integration, then it's really like a breakdown of all the like mini features within that integration. And so you oftentimes people want to split that feature request into like very granular, like, oh, now I want to do CRUD on the account object in Salesforce. Now I want to do like skim in Salesforce, or like, and so what we're building out right now is like a way for you to just type the generic like set of features that you think it splits into, and then it'll like re-sift all the evidence into the right buckets. Merge obviously is the opposite direction too. It's just like if you think that like it was too granular, you can like merge them all together. So
Yeah, another great question from Bree. So how we're thinking about existing feature requests in other systems. So like product board or something else. Yeah, how do you think about the migration or transition for people if they're already using a system?
yeah, for now, I mean, I think because we're already plugged into a lot of the evidence and sources, I found that it's actually way better than any of the existing manual places. And it feels kind of bad because there was probably a lot of effort put into aggregating those feature requests. But at least for our system, it surfaced a lot of new evidence that I didn't even like it wasn't even getting tracked, or like we were missing like half the evidence. And so like you'll find that this is actually like going to be a better superset of the existing feature requests out there. Um,
Yep.
so,
Yeah, and also what is cool is you can just if you're already a Pylon customer, you can just try this out, right? So it's part of our AI assistance bundle. So if you're already paying for AI, you likely already have this enabled now, and so you can just log into Pylon, click that feature request tab, and then actually even for people who aren't paying for AI, you'll see like the first three, and so you'll get a sense that hey, actually the evidence might already be covered. And so yeah, you can test this out yourself and kind of see what it looks like. See, we have another question from Mamoon. Will there be a way to create different views of the feature request page, filter by product type, customer type? Robert, do you want to just show like the filtering just so they get like a quick sense
yeah,
on what is possible there?
sure that, yeah. So just like taking a look here, I mean, these are all of the existing fields that you get already in the account intelligence piece of the product. So any of a lot of these fields are synced from Salesforce or whatever CRM you're using, HubSpot, Pipedrive, Adio, as well as any manual or Pylon created custom fields. Um, so say I wanted to get like the tier of the customers, right? So if like say it's like I only want the company strategically is going in this direction where we only want to serve our tier one customers or something like that. You can filter that down and like get that rearrangement of all of the feature requests. Um, or
And
say I want to
yeah. And
just
Robert, I'm also rereading the question. I'm realizing I kind of butchered half of it. So half of it is the filtering. The other half is like, hey, if you want consistent views to look at for different segments. So hey, feature requests that are presumably related to. So I could imagine actually a few different cases. Let's say you're like in this customer success use case, like you probably want feature requests related to your accounts, right? I don't know how valuable that is to know. It's probably more interesting than useful because you probably want it on the customer level independently more so
yeah.
than hey
So
across all customers. But
yeah, that is a really good point, and that that is also in the fastball. I can show the designs if we want, but essentially there will be an account on the account page. There's going to be a module in here where it shows you all of the feature requests for the Brex account, for example. Um, and so the whole thinking there is like if you're a CSM and you're going into QBR with Brex and you haven't told them about like whatever feature requests that they asked for, but like they're done or something like that, you can then tell them during the QBR and like easily collect up those feature requests and like be like, hey, we did these for you. Like feel free to
yeah,
play.
and Moon, if you have any more questions, yeah, like if there's like a specific way, I assume you would want to filter by like product area or something and just like have those kind of segmented out. Um, yeah, I,
I
I
think
think that, and also, yeah, maybe two things to add. Like one makes sense on wanting to do that. And I think that, so yeah, makes sense on wanting to do that. The other piece I'd say is like, so Robert, if you stop sharing for a moment and I go back to the slides for a second, the one thing, so like the future state of this will be kind of more like inboxy in some sense, where it's like, you can treat this as a like queue of, hey, like let's comb through this stuff. And then a lot of the work later just happens from Linear or whatever product ticketing system you're using. And so, hey, like, you sort through this, determine whether this is a valid feature request or not, link it to the Linear ticket or create a new one. And then it's kind of in progress until you're ready to notify customers. So you shouldn't have to like consistently just like go look in here. I think, right, Robert? Is that correct? Like, so right
yeah.
now, the current like first version, it's like everything's out there, no status, anything. But actually, I think it will be kind of like this more fluid thing where you might like actually want to do more of that work in, let's say, linear, for like grouping the categories of feature requests, or maybe product surface areas, or however you already sort like the eng tasks.
Yep, exactly. So we will be adding statuses onto all of these feature requests um, pretty quick. And then like that will all surface up into the account pages. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Anything you want to mention on the like last part, the last step of like notifying customers and where that's going to go and how that will evolve? So, hey, we actually ship it. We can see here in like this preview that there's some notification of, okay, this got closed out and we want to notify customers. Yeah, any like anything you can share there on how that evolves?
There are really three places that you have to notify customers, and we're going to be trying to cover all three. So the first is going to be in a QBR, or like a live call, and so we're going to be watching all the call recordings for whether you tell your customer that that feature request exists, and then tracking whether you still need to tell them or not. The second one is in the async comms, so like over all the support tickets in the Slack channel, like in over email. That's also another place that we'll be watching to make sure that you notify them. And then the third is like you can notify them via broadcast, which is what I just demoed here. And so like given that these are the three places you could possibly tell your customer, we are plugged into all three or producing the third one. We can track whether you've told all your customers about a certain feature request, and so like to make sure that nobody like slips through the cracks, and you can actually like get everybody enabled on that new feature.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, and then Moon had one more follow-up, I guess. He had asked about, is it possible to customize the prompt? And so basically, yeah.
So the cool thing is you can just change the title of the feature request, and it'll actually go and look for the evidence again for that new title. It'll also tell you like which evidence on that feature request are now irrelevant if your title changes so drastically that it gets rid of a bunch of evidence. So
I think though, yeah, his request or his question, and actually, Mamoon, if you want to clarify a little more, because you mentioned, hey, if it's like a request from Slack versus another source, because I do think, yeah, I'd be curious to hear the details of why you'd want to split those out of like sources as an example. But maybe more broadly, Robert, are we going to add some way to filter on the like issue level details as well? Because right now it's more account level, or would that not be?
not particularly. I would love to talk to you more, Mamoon, maybe after this, but like I don't think I've seen too many people who care about where the feature request comes from, more so just the person asking the feature request. Because like your enterprise customer asking over email, if they ask it
I
over
could see it.
Slack,
So Robert, yeah,
I can change that.
maybe I have like maybe to like draw this out, like, hey, let's say we want to do it based on the contact, right? So
Yeah,
it's
I think on the
hey, this is an
contact,
executive buyer,
yeah,
like versus someone else.
yeah. I think on the contact makes more sense, and I do think that we will build that out eventually. It's not part of the fast follow features, but when we start beefing out a lot of the contact analytics and fields and functionality workflows, yeah, we'd probably add that.
Okay, awesome. Daniel, so I'd love to understand how we can see how these changes or how these change over time to help understand frequency or magnitude of the request. Is a request heating up? Anything around that? And yeah, maybe worth mentioning something else we just released, anomaly detection.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to anomaly detection. Yeah. Maybe just to answer your direct question first off, I mean, I think that you'll probably see it in the feature request ranking when you filter for like last mentioned and just like last 90 days and rank by ARR. Like you'll notice those feature requests will bubble up to the top regardless. No, no automation on like detecting that trend line on feature requests. However, we do have this issue anomaly detection feature that we actually just rolled out recently, which is looking over all of your issues and trying to detect like incidents or like a sudden spike in a certain like kind of issue. It's been super useful in catching like a bug that gets pushed and it like breaks a whole flow. So
Yeah, and also Robert, maybe like one important question to ask here that I don't think hasn't been asked explicitly, but I think is super relevant. Like this covers right now feature requests, but what about bugs? Like how does that play into this? Because it seems like there's a very similar flow that should exist there.
yep. So the strategy here was we wanted to just focus on feature requests to begin with, but if the AI in that single use case works really well, then we will expand this to also aggregate over bugs as well to really target like the exact support team pain point of like aggregating all the bug pains. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it's well within our purview and goal and vision to expand it that direction.
Cool. And then Bree asked another question on, hey, like the product team visibility. Maybe not even a question, but just a comment that yeah, would love an ability to notify product teams internally, so we can just set up an automation that says, hey, like give them a report on the what's
Yeah.
changed probably. That is also, by the way, Bree, that is coming very soon. So we are actually building something right now called AI reports. It's currently, I saw actually a demo of an early version last night at like midnight. And
Very
it
cool.
won't integrate like super directly yet into feature requests to start because this is like more structured data, but it will give you the ability to prompt, like you could say, hey, every 7 days or every day or every month, um, you write out a prompt. So for example, summarize all like the top feature requests over the summarize all the top feature requests for this segment of customers. You'll be able to just write something like that and then say send the what the result is to a corresponding Slack channel every 7 days. And so that will first be like a more hey prompt on top of the unstructured data, and will produce probably similar results. But then yeah, eventually would love to have. I'm sure this will like play into it as we add like more. Actually, it will get solved right with custom blocks if we have the custom account block for feature requests, right, Robert?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Okay, so
That
basically, yeah, the answer is yes, Bree. I think that there are two features in parallel that are being
yeah,
worked on that
we
I'm guessing cross paths
we
very
honestly
soon.
had not thought about the crossover there, but I believe we're building it correctly so that it's extendable to this. So um, yeah, I think this also kind of reminds me of another flow that happens with the post sales team and the product team and their interaction, where not only will the post sales team proactively push to the product team all of the feature requests, but the product team oftentimes on new features or like new product lines or like maybe they're starting to dig into a new area because they're a new PM, will often ask the post sales team what are all the feature requests and problems with that area. And so like this is very useful in like surfacing that to the PM instead of having to do a rock fetch and scavenger hunt for all the evidence. So definitely like hits on a lot of like other cool flows that help the product team out and the post sales team uh, that are emergent
Yeah.
off of the main use case. Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve, yeah, it is pretty sick. It is really sick, actually. Of course, it all depends on the quality, of course, at the end of the day. But man, like it is the idea that you can just automate these reports and send them out to Slack channels for, like part of our general excitement is this also just brings a lot more value to non-direct support and CS team members as well. So like, yeah, if you want it to product or even like a project channel, I don't know if you guys have specific channels where it's people who are working on a specific project, you could have like an AI report that gets sent out every week that says, hey, here's like what happened related to this feature. Like here's like what customers were saying. And so that's like such a simple way. Like you can do that. And then the value I think then your team can provide to everyone else in like a engine buildy way where you set it up and let it run is like just it feels like you get so much more leverage. And also that your ability to support other teams is just so much stronger. So I think that's going to be really, really exciting. You'll be able to just set those up and let other teams get value out of it. And then I think they will, of course, become more and more interested in, hey, what are the specific requests that are like causing people to say these things, right? So if I get a notification into our project channel for our AI agents product that says, hey, like the latency's been super high, it's like, okay, great. Like you're not even then, it's not even the support team saying, here's a thing you guys need to fix. It's like, no, hey, in your face, customers are saying this. And it's like there's no denying the first party data. So yeah, I know we strayed a little bit for the past couple of minutes. That's not what we released yesterday, but that is coming very soon as well. So yeah, hopefully this all kind of ends up working out together.
Cool.
I know we are like running. We're actually officially, or no, we have maybe 5 more minutes
5 minutes,
here.
I think. Yeah. So
Yeah. Anyone else have questions or yeah, anything else that you might want to ask? I'm curious also, like, if anyone is actively using Product Board or the other systems. Cool. Steve, you gonna move off? It probably depends on how your tests of the product go. So. And yeah, Steve, I'm actually curious. Does your team own that or have like ownership of that flow, or is that more product team purchased it and they just ask you to use it?
yeah, I mean, usually I see the product board is bought by the product team, but yeah, there it is. Yeah, right. Yeah, Steve, you have a classic flow, like a classic broken flow that a lot of other companies have. Um, yeah, yeah, that sounds right. Okay. Yeah, and then there's some poor junior PM on the product team who's manually like linking all those, and then or no, there is no PM on that side, and it's actually just going into a black hole, and you
Yeah.
never see that feedback again.
Yeah, I was speaking to a CSM yesterday who basically said they're using some tool I actually hadn't heard of, some like older product board equivalent. And they basically said that they are told that they have to put feature requests into this tool, and then it's clearly gone. Like it's just a hole. Like you just know every time you submit something that it just disappears. So it really is unfortunate because there is that like extra step of work that should be getting done that just doesn't get done. So yeah, unfortunate. And then the other piece that is, yeah, so there's that piece. Also, some people just don't have access to the product board or other tool. So I remember hearing from a support team who said all the requests they get, they actually have to give the the feedback to the CSMs that own the account, and then only the CSMs are allowed to submit the feature request, which I find very interesting too. So clearly that's inefficient. Clearly there's a better way. So yeah, I think this is going to be helpful for everyone. So yeah, I think we're good here. Hopefully this gets people excited. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in,
Thank you, everybody.
Robert. Yeah, thank you.
This is really cool. Yeah, shout out to the team who built this, and lots of cool features and V2 on product intelligence coming down the pipeline. So.
Yep. And then thank you, Cassie, for organizing this event. Yeah, cool. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, ready.
Cheers.
See ya.